Good evening. This is October 8th, 2024. The time is 6 p.m. I'd like to convene this meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners. This meeting is being held in person and/or remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and all other applicable laws, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the Town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Is there anyone here recording? Seeing none, I will note for the record that participating in this meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is Bill Ramsey, Liz Klein, and myself, Joe Fisher. First item on our agenda is a discussion of the water main easements to be granted for the benefit of the Ware River water system over property off Research Road and Abington Street. And I believe we have our superintendent here to walk us through it.
Yep. So when the building that houses Little Tot, is a little, no, I can't remember the name of the place, but 73 Abington Street. When it was built, the contractor ran a main down Abington Street up into their property and then dead-ended it. Since then, 2 other projects have been put in place to build warehouses off of Research Road that went down onto Abington Street. So as part of those 2 projects, we required them to run water mains into those projects, and then on the second project, asked them to loop it into Abington Street. So what this main does, it comes from Research Road through the property, around, now has a loop for Little Tots. Their main is looped now. It also brings it down onto Abington Street and loops that, so it creates 2 loops within that whole system. What that does for us is it makes it better for the fire department for fire flows, water quality will be much better, and now if there's any issues on either one of those mains, it can be shut down and those buildings can still be fed back then. So it's a really advantageous thing for us to have loops anyway, so we just made sure that those loops now are in place. Unfortunately, we had to go through the properties to get them to be the way they should be, so we need the easement so that we can go in and maintain them and do what we do.
What costs, if any, do you anticipate?
This was not any cost to the Ware River water system or the town. It was all paid for by the contractor and the developer that developed those properties.
So no consideration other than a token dollar is being paid with this, for the easements?
Correct.
And what about maintenance of the properties over which the easements run?
We will take care of that. We always take care of our easements right now, and we'll continue to do that.
So the cost of that maintenance, is that included in your budget?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I do note that we have Susan Murphy on the line. Susan, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, not at this time. I think Russell described it all. These are the first easements that the town has accepted as the owner of the water system. And so I worked with Town Council John Coughlin to create a template that will be the form of easement used going forward in the event that future water main easements are granted to the water system.
And are there any title issues with respect to the property over which we're getting the easements?
No, none that we are aware of.
Great. Bill, any questions?
No questions. Russ answered all of them.
Liz?
Yes, thank you, Russ, for explaining this, and thank you, Susan, for being here. It certainly sounds advantageous to the system.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Russ, and thank you, Susan, for being here. It sounds like this is advantageous to the water system.
Yes.
Are there any risks or unintended consequences that you have in mind?
The water mains that we're talking about, most of them are paved areas anyways. The only part that is still grass runs between 2 of the properties. It's a short distance, so we should have no problem maintaining that at all.
Okay.
Minimal cost to us.
Okay, thank you.
With respect to real estate taxes associated with the properties, does the grant of easement result in a lower property tax assessment on those properties because now they're burdened by an easement?
No, it should not affect the tax value. They're subsurface and they don't impact the use and operation in any way of the property.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be typical for easements. They shouldn't have an impact. I just want to see if there was any impact on the tax rolls. Any member of the public, comments or questions? Seeing none, I am prepared to accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the right-of-way easements granted by Gill Research Drive LLC, Gill Research Park LLC, Perry South Shore LLC, and JBC IV Enterprises LLC, respectfully, to the town of Hingham, acting by and through its Board of Water Commissioners for the repair, maintenance, and replacement of a water main loop through property off Research Road and Abington Street for the benefit of the Weir River water system.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Easements are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is to consider the agreement with Environmental Partners Group, Inc. to supply on-call engineering services to the Ware River water system. And Russ, you are on again.
So this contract we had for 3 years, it is expired. We'd like to renew it for another 3 years. What this contract is for is for environmental partners, aside with all the capital improvement work that we do, when we have changes in the hydraulics of the system, hydraulic modeling, GIS services, and those things in planning and designing, they wrote and drafted our capital improvement plan, so they assist us with that when we go back and do revisions of it.
Right.
When it comes to GIS services, they take everything that we do in the field, and they add it to our GIS map, so that makes sure our maps are up to date. And then as for smaller architectural and engineering projects that we have. So we just want to renew that for 3 years to keep that going, so we don't lose any steps, any beat that we're doing.
And it sounds like you are satisfied with the work so far.
We are very satisfied with the work so far. They've done a great job with everything they've done so far. In our larger projects, they're really good at, so.
And what about their budget?
Their budget right now would be $50,000 a year. That comes from the A&E line. I do have $75,000 in there, but I don't usually use all of that because some of their stuff is on our CIP programs. So when we do a water main project, it comes out of our CIP that we pay environmental partners for. This is just for offset things and tasks that we don't have in the CIP.
Right, and this is for up to $150,000.
Correct, 3 years, $50,000 each year.
It may be in the document, I didn't see it. Is that an even 50 a year, or is it just 150 split over 3 years, however you
It's
allocate it?
up to $50,000 per year for 3 years. Each year is $50,000. Time and materials.
Got it. Liz?
So I was just going to ask about that. It is time and materials, right?
Correct.
So they bill us monthly or invoice us
The
monthly?
invoice is monthly. It's a separate invoice from everything else. They're really good about that, where they don't try to push everything into one invoice. So this one's definitely separated, where I can look at it and just know exactly what they did for that money for that time.
Okay, so if they do less than 50,000
Correct.
in the year, we're not paying?
We're not
the
paying.
Additional, okay. And the term, I noticed, starts July 1. Is that just to align with our fiscal year?
The other one expired July 1st, but we were busy with the tank. I forgot about it, and then Kathy was talking to me about it, and we got it back up in those.
Okay, but we haven't used them since?
Not for this.
July
We used it for the
1st.
tank, stuff like that, yeah.
Okay,
Right, but the term is retroed back to
Correct.
date.
Correct.
okay.
Bill?
Was the cost of the last contract 50 per year as well, or has it gone up?
No, it went down.
It went down, that's
Yeah,
great.
the first couple of years we were here, I think I had $100,000 in there, because we had a lot going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of tailed off a little bit on the smaller stuff, it's the larger projects they worked on, so I'm comfortable with it.
Great, thank you.
Any member of the public? Comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm prepared for motion.
I will make a motion to approve the agreement with Environmental Partners Group Incorporated to supply on-call engineering services to the Weir River water system in an amount not to exceed $150,000 over a 3-year term ending June 30th.
The introduction of PFAS to our our life. We want them focused on our larger projects. We want them focused on the water quality projects and things like that. So after having Crocker Design do a small project for us, they did a really good job. So I asked Gabe to put together a proposal to do the smaller projects. I've talked to both companies in length about this. Neither of them have any animosity against each other doing this. The biggest thing about Crocker Design Group is they have in-house surveying. They also have a lot of experience with small residential and commercial subdivisions. So when we have a small thing, like I have a couple 200 or 300 foot extensions that we want to do, I could have Crocker Design Group do them. They do have a lower hourly rate. It's favorable to the Ware River water system. It's just that they don't have the people and the breadth and width to do some of the bigger projects. So it's a good complement to what Environmental Partners does. So we wanted to bring them on board to do some of these smaller projects that we have. Plus, Environmental Partners has a dedicated group of engineers that focuses on water treatment analysis and treatment plant upgrades and the emerging contaminants such as PFAS. So we want to utilize them for those larger things like that. So Crocker will be a good addition to that to help get things moving on the smaller end scale.
Makes sense. Liz, any questions?
And this is also time and materials,
Yep,
correct?
Correct.
Okay, and do you think we'll use this whole budget, the 50,000 per year?
I think this year I might, but going
Okay.
forward, maybe not.
Okay.
Because we do have a bunch of, because of the issues we had back in June, there are some dead ends that I want to extend and create loops. And these are all like 200 and 300 foot dead ends. So I'm going to speak to Crocker about designing that, and then we'll put that out to bid to get those extended and make those sections of the town better for
Okay.
water quality.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Bill?
No questions.
Yep. And I do appreciate you attaching to the agreement the hourly rate schedule.
Yep.
So that really lays out the advantage that you're talking about. Any member of the public, comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the agreement with Crocker Design Group LLC to supply on-call engineering and land surveying services to the Ware River water system in an amount not to exceed $50,000 per year and not exceed a total of $150,000 over a 3-year term.
Second,
Before we do that, what is the effective date of this?
That's the contract. That's going to be a little different than Environmental Partners. It'll be when we sign the.
Okay, so this is not retroed back?
Yeah, it won't be
Okay,
retroactive.
okay, great. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, Liz?
aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. We are approved there. Thank you. And now we will move to a update report from Veolia and our water superintendent. Please,
Come on up, Darren.
come on up.
I'll run through mine first, and then Darren can run through his.
Yeah, if you can just introduce
Yep.
Darren, so we,
Darren Dirth is project manager for Veolia, and we have an name tag for you.
great.
Okay, so as far as capital improvements right now, the Strawberry Hill storage tank design and the booster station, we're continuing with the design of the new tank. The test borings will be performed at all potential sites in October and November. I got together with the environmental partners last week to discuss that. We also met with the Hingham Conservation Commission and zoning regarding the booster station sites. 146R Kilby Street, which is the part that's more down towards the end of the street in between two houses. That is a good place for us to put. There's not a lot of setback issues or wetlands issues, but it is between two homes. And there are a few residents that have already started talking about not liking it there. So we started looking at 0 Kilby Street, which is right behind the Sons of Italy. The problem with that is there's some wetlands and setbacks challenges right there right now. We are working with Concom and zoning to get those resolved if we can. That's a more preferable site for a number of reasons. One is it's more towards the train tracks. It's more in like in a commercial, I wouldn't call it commercial, but it's right near an intersection. We also we're working with the Sewer Commission to add a room onto it to help the Sewer Commission because they have odor issues down in that area of town. So we want to inject into the sewer line odor controlling agent. We want to put an 8x10 room on the side of the pump station so that they can utilize that for their injection system to inject into the sewer. So it's kind of a combination building where, 80% of it's going to be for our pump station, but 20% of it will be for the Sewer Commission to inject their chemicals into that area.
Before you move
Yep.
on, I just want to, Has anything been filed with Concom, a notice of intent? or-
No, we just had preliminary discussions with them. So they're trying to see if we can get a little more leeway on some of the stuff, but that's forthcoming. We will be doing that.
And have the wetlands been delineated in that area?
No, they will be though if we wind up doing it here.
Okay, great, thanks.
Downer Ave, Plaintiffs Field, that's about to be closed out as soon as we do that last pay requisition, so that job should be completed. There is a little bit of paving that's to be done on Downer Ave since we did do the overlay, but that was due to the connection with the school. So there is a bump there. Randy and I talked about it today when he came in. We're gonna have that fixed before the winter, but there is a little bump right there now, which is gonna have to be opened up again for the sewer connection. Once that's done, everybody's gonna work to get that smooth for the winter time. Samoset and Manomet Ave and Hull, they're pushed off to FY '26 and '27, but I have a contract coming from Environmental Partners to design both those roads. Whether we move forward with construction on both roads, we'll have to wait and see what money we have available, but we are gonna try to do one of them and maybe not both of them. So they may change their approach on the reconstruction of those roads. If we can get one water main done, they'll do a full depth reconstruction. If not, we'll do both. Nantasket Ave seawall, it's coming along pretty well. The first phase of the water main is completed. They tested it this week. I'm just waiting for the results. Once that's done, we're gonna decide if we wanna tie that into our existing, so that's a continuous flow while the seawall is being built. It also will give us an emergency connection if there's a failure of the old pipe. So after we're done getting tested, I'm gonna work on that and see what we wanna do to make that happen. I don't wanna put that on the town of Hull. I think that's our commitment to get that thing moving so that we have a backup plan in case something happens. The public safety facility, the water main's 100% complete. It is being tested this week. Once that's sampled through, we'll have a complete loop around the new Foster School. All the hydrants around the Foster School will be active, so it'll be a good thing for the fire department, because now they have hydrants around the whole school in case there's any issues during construction. Public facility. Same with the Foster School. That means 100% done. That's being tested this week. Once that's tested through, we'll have a complete loop around the school too. So both projects will have hydrants and everything available for the rest of the construction projects. And the Ackwood Pond intake line was something that Darren and I have been working on together, and we've been wanting to get this done. We signed a contract with Crocker Design to do the final design of it and do some of the permitting with all three towns, because we do encompass 3 towns when we're around that pond. We're hoping to get that in before next spring so that we can start utilizing it in the next summer. The biggest part of this intake is it's further out in the pond. The water quality is much better. It will reduce our chemical usage coming from the pond because we have to treat a little bit less. Plus, we also got really positive PFAS results from the middle of the pond. Your PFAS results in your open areas like the pond are always higher. They're the worst place for PFAS. So if we get that, put farther into the pond and deeper, we have way better PFAS results coming from that pond. So that'll help us down the road. The surveying's this week, and that's it. Budget, first quarter review is this month. We gave all the information to the auditors, so they're working on our part of the audit now. Our collections have gone up a little bit, 50,000 K over 120 right now. I am working with customer service and Veolia to try to get down a little more before we can't shut people off for the winter. So that's coming up in November soon. And weekly shut-offs, like I said, will continue till then. And then grants and other projects, our GIS grant, the final paperwork's being submitted this week. It got signed today by everyone in Town Hall. So we should have that $150,000 available to us in the springtime to start doing some more GIS work. The lead and copper inventory grant, I have a meeting on Friday to finalize the submittals to Mass DEP, which are due the following week. Our one-stop grant, I have no update on that. I should have one in a couple weeks, but they told us that would be probably the beginning of the year before we got any decisions on that. And then we are looking for PFAS grants on mitigation and studies. I do have a contract coming from Environmental Partners to do a very simple study on our plan to see what we may have to do if the PFAS starts to increase and what our mitigation process would be. Just so everyone knows, we do not have a PFAS issue in our system. Everything coming in gets treated. There are times when we go out as a 0, but we're averaging about a 4 or 4.5 going out every month that we sample. So we're doing well now. We just want to be prepared in case that elevates and we don't want to be stuck. And that's all I have. Darren?
Good evening.
Good evening, Dan.
So I'm just going to touch up on a couple of little, some of our progress. Talk to the unidirectional flushing. We've identified each line, gate to flush out the mains properly. Also exercised all the gate valves that coincide with the unidirectional flushing. We're currently working on route sheets for correct sequence of operations through our ArcGIS field maps. Recently in distribution, we replaced 3 gates on Thaxter Street, replaced an out-of-service hydrant on Fairview, main break repair on Perazzo Road in Hull. We added 2 new flushing hydrants, one on South Gate, the other on Westmoreland. We replaced a broken gate valve on Whiting Street, and we're waiting on a police report from a hydrant hit on Fort Hill, which is still operational. So we're just waiting because we moved forward with a third party on that, Barrett Insurance. As far as sampling, we're fully up to date as we have always been, and we are in complete compliance. Lead and copper was completed in June, including all of the schools in Hingham and Hull, all below the action levels for lead and copper. As far as the plant, we have 2 new centrifuges that are up and running with the conveyor system. All 4 filters have new stainless steel under drains in them. And all the stations, tanks, fully maintained with the assistance of having a fully staffed maintenance team. Distribution is nearly fully staffed. We have the new meter position, excuse me, which that person starts next week, and then the final individual will start the following week. It's just the onboarding background check process that is delayed, and then we would be fully staffed. We had our sanitary survey last month, with the final part being the cybersecurity assessment, which I'll be completing this week. And it has already been completed and approved by the EPA. I do not have any results from the sanitary survey. That is kind of a long process. They do the entire state, and then I think we got it last time, the day before Christmas. So, and they did it in August. Does anybody have any questions?
Make sure that, nothing else you want to add before we go into questions? This is,
No.
okay, great. So Liz, I'll start with you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Russ. You mentioned doing final testing for the projects where it's 100% complete, the water mains are 100% complete. Can you just describe what that means?
Yeah, so the water mains are 100% installed. We have to do a pressure test, which have been done in all past, and then we have to take coliform samples. The school actually was done about a month and a half ago, but they never gave me the results, so it never got turned on, so I had them resample because
Okay.
it's been sitting there for 6 weeks, so we did not want to introduce that into our water supply without flushing it off, so we flushed it all off and resampled it. So that's what that means.
Okay, great, thank you. And I know we had talked previously about having a meeting or an information session about PFAS specifically, so if that's okay with our chair, I'd like to still get that scheduled.
Absolutely. So Darren and I talk about it every week. We've actually started pulling information together. I haven't started building anything yet, but we are compiling all the information so we can have a really good meeting about it. So.
Okay, excellent. And thank you, Darren, for being here.
Thank you for
How,
having me.
sure, how are we feeling about the communication strategy? Is that effective? Are we getting feedback from customers on brown water, or?
So we've tried to communicate with everyone that they need to enroll.
Yes.
And so what we found is that the people that are calling with any kind of complaints for discolored water, if we're doing work in their area, I can see in CCMB that they are not enrolled or have unenrolled.
Okay,
So they would have gotten the message had they stayed enrolled. We can't force them to do that.
Right.
We can't take their information.
Right. Do we know how many, have we seen an uptick, though, of enrollments since we've been communicating?
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So I think that would be helpful to continue to monitor that so we can see the improvement.
And once we start flushing, that notification of where we're going to be will go out in a timely manner, so everyone that is enrolled will get that information. We're working at getting signboards and signage, so people that want to know will know.
Okay. And is that being communicated on the Facebook page as well?
Yeah, we do everything together.
Okay,
So
great.
one of the things that we're talking about, Brian and I actually were talking about today is, prior to, once we have the date of the flushing, we're gonna put something on Facebook and tell people that, look, if you wanna really stay informed about where the flushing's going and what we're doing, absolutely sign up for the notification system, and we'll put direct instructions in the Facebook page on how to do that.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Bill?
Great, yeah, Darren, Russ, thanks for being here. First question is, I'm getting a lot of complaints from neighbors about the roads in Crow Point. In fact, I got a text, kind of an upset text this morning. Is the water work all done in Crow Point at this time?
Yes.
So we can start paving those roads?
Yes. So
Okay.
everything's getting paved except for, everything's getting paved right now,
Yep.
except for the other side of Otis Hill, I don't know what I call it, Otis Hill. The other side of Downer Ave and in towards Otis Street.
Okay,
That Jay and I are in a discussion about now. That's the only part of the street that we didn't do because they were gonna do when they did Otis and come back up.
okay, but the water work is completed there?
Correct.
Okay, so we're waiting for JR to
Yeah,
catch up
to
with
be
the
honest with you,
pavement?
the best part of that road is the water trench. The other side is actually the old gas trench.
Yep,
So I know that's a big fight with the gas company, but their trench is actually in poorer shape than ours. The water side trench is really good on that side of the road because I check it every day just about when I go over there.
great, excellent. I think to Liz's point about the communication efforts, I had a resident contact me on Friday complaining about her water. She lived on North, at the corner of North and Thaxter. So I went to the Facebook page, and I said, hey, there was a water main break on Thaxter. That's why your water's bad. I go, your water should be good in about 6 hours. And so I think and I said, hey, why don't you go to like this page so you know it, you can see what I can see. So I felt pretty good about that. And so I think, we've made some good strides there. I want to commend your deputy, Russ, for, updating that information. As I said, it's important that it's updated in real time, so someone like that resident can go to the page and say, hey, I got brown water right now, what's going on? The break is identified, the area's identified, and then the resolution, the estimated resolution gives her a heads up about when her water's better. So I thought that was great. Whatever we can do, again, to Liz's point about to get the word out, to get people enrolled. I know we talked about maybe doing a mailing or a flyer. I know we seem to keep beating the issue, but the more we can do it to get more people in the loop on it, I think will be helpful to what we're trying to do here. I agree with you about the PFAS follow-up. I think that would be a good topic for a later meeting. And you said on the cybersecurity, Darren, so the EPA has already kind of blessed off on it, and we're just waiting for a report later this year?
So, yeah, so the EPA and Mass DEP offer a program to prepare your security system
Yep,
in preparation of a sanitary survey, because some sanitary surveys will question it, some will not. And we are questioned on it, and so
sure.
EPA's blessed it already, which saves about 4 hours of my time. So this will only be a 2-hour meeting this week.
Great, all right, excellent. And my last point, kind of a smaller one, but Russ, when you do the town assets and property winterization efforts, probably coming in a month from here, don't forget the new shower at the harbor. That was the new outdoor shower, and I appreciate you setting that up. But I could see that kind of being easily forgotten because we just put it in a couple months ago. So, thank you. That's all I've got.
Got that down, Russ?
I did write it down.
I see.
We don't have bite to bird.
It's your stuff I don't write down. I write down.
I'm taking note of that.
Smart guy.
I want to turn to the question of shut-offs. What sort of financial assistance is available if people are struggling to pay their water bill?
We're really good about setting up payment plans. That's the most we can do for people's payment plans. There is some federal stuff out there, but we don't have access to it to point people in the right direction. But if you go on Veolia's website and ours, there are some things on there. But the biggest thing is if people need to have time, they can just contact us and we can set up a payment plan. Well, like everybody else, right? If you don't keep your payment plan, don't ask us for a second one. We are kind of forgiving, so we kind of do second ones every once in a while. But again, we spread it out well. Like, there used to be a 3-month, limit, 4 months, 5 months. I've been going 12 months. So if you need a 12-month window, we can do it.
Do we know, are there any state or federal programs that we should be looking at?
As of right now, I haven't found any, and I know Veolia looks for them too, so we stay in contact about that, Josh and I up as customer service. So right now, we haven't seen any that are viable for everybody.
Okay. Turning to Flushing, I just want to be clear, so that information is pushed out
Yes.
in advance of
Yes.
of when we're doing it.
Yes, sir.
And then I know we talked about signups. My recollection, the last time we talked about it, is you need to be a customer in order to sign up, and that if you had tenants who were not the direct customer, there was a challenge for them to sign up. Has that been addressed? Can they,
No, but we have a meeting tomorrow that I plan on addressing it, just so you know.
right, so, I mean, that is a concern, as you know, because not everyone is a direct customer. And we talked about coming up with an alternative for signups if you're not a
We
direct
did, and
customer.
we looked into our what is that called, my Hingham? I can't
Yep.
remember, I'm sorry.
Well, that's Tom's favorite.
Yeah, but the notification part of it's very expensive. So we're working with them now, so myself and IT, because they base it on how many emails you send out, how many calls you make, how many texts you make.
Sure.
And we do a lot of emails, a lot of calls, and a lot of texts. So the numbers ratted up very quickly. So I have been working with IT on that. It's not a dead issue now, but we are working on it
Okay.
to find another avenue to do it.
And you mentioned that people who were enrolled are unenrolling.
The only way you can get off it is you have to unenroll. So once you sign up for the billing system.
Right.
You're automatically enrolled into
The
the
commu-
notification system with
right.
your email. You have to literally go into your account and
Right.
uncheck it.
Right, so I was just surprised to hear that people were
There are a
actively.
lot of people that do it because some people say we're obnoxious and send too many things out, but we want to make sure people are informed. Like, we'll send out stuff when we're doing work and we're doing all, but we also focus it on the neighborhood. So I really don't understand some of the people's, but some people don't want to be bothered. But you can also uncheck the email or uncheck the text, so you can get just emails or just texts. So if you don't want to be bothered, like the phone calls are something we very rarely do now. The only time we do a phone call is when it's a real emergency. If we're doing work out in the street, a lot of times we just send it as an email so that it's not inundating people's telephones.
Okay, no other questions. Anyone here with questions for our superintendent or for Veolia? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Guys, continue. Thank you, guys.
Where's my agenda? So don't leave, because I'm going to just open it up if there's any members of the public who have comments on items that are not on the agenda. This is their opportunity to raise them. I am not seeing them, so now, now you're good.
Thank you.
So at this point, I am prepared to accept a motion to adjourn our meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. We are adjourned until 7 o'clock when the Select Board will convene. Thank you.
Thank you.